Welcome back. In today's episode, we'll explore how the activation of G patterns influences our perception, particularly when it comes to taste. Have you ever wondered why sweet food doesn't seem bitter? Or why your mood can change the way you experience flavor? We'll dive deep into how G waves, the electromagnetic and physical signals in your brain, play a key role in these processes. Let's explore how your brain forms taste memories, how they are activated, and how they affect your perception in real time. When you taste food, the sweet, sour, bitter, or salty components activate specific taste receptors, which in turn produce corresponding G waves in the brain. These G waves represent a pattern that is linked to the taste sensation you experience. For example, when you eat a salty food like pickles or a sweet food like chocolate, only certain taste receptors are activated. But why do you rarely experience bitterness when you eat something sweet? The answer is that sweet food only activates the receptors related to sweetness. This means the sweet G pattern is activated and the corresponding G wave is generated. The other taste receptor responsible for bitterness or sourness are not activated because the sweet food doesn't trigger those specific G patterns. This shows that the activation of G patterns is selective, just as sweet food selectively activates the sweet receptors. Similar G patterns are activated by specific stimuli in the brain. So, we can extend this idea further. When the brain recognizes an object or concept, the G waves projected from various regions interact with specific G patterns, activating them. This process of activation is highly specific to the structure of each G. Each G has a unique structural composition that allows it to respond to certain G waves, which then activate and reshape the G, strengthening or transforming it. This brings us to fuzzy recognition and the phenomenon of another recognition. Fuzzy recognition happens when a G receives a G wave that is similar to its own unique pattern, but not identical, leading to activation. On the other hand, another recognition occurs when a G wave receives a G wave that does not sufficiently resemble its own pattern, and thus does not activate. Both phenomena are based on the similarity of G wave patterns and their specific activation. So, how G is activated? So, how is a G pattern initially formed by the input of G waves? Is its position in the brain fixed? From what we discussed in the previous chapter, the structure of G patterns is influenced by both the organic and electromagnetic properties of the central nervous system. G waves enter the neural display area and are projected in different directions, with their tra- trajectory and intensity affected by other waves in the area. The final position of the G pattern is influenced by the state of various G patterns and wave at that moment. The position of a G pattern formed by a single G wave input is therefore highly dependent on the immediate state of the brain's central nervous system. However, when the same G wave is input multiple times under different brain states, the G pattern will gradually stabilize due to repeated remodeling. So let's talk about mode and perception. Ever wonder why food tastes different when you are in bad mood? This is a perfect example of how your emotional state influences the way you perceive things. The mood you are in alters how G waves are conducted through the neuron pathways, ultimately affecting the way you experience taste and other sensations. Similarly, each person's brain is made up of G patterns that are influenced by their unique physiological traits, which can cause people to perceive the same stimulus in different ways. Even more fascinating is how our perception of the same thing changes over time. As we age, our experiences continuously activate different G patterns in our brains, and over the years, our views on certain things inevitably change. This continuous reshaping of G patterns reflects the constant flow of new information we encounter. Let's consider a real world example of how G patterns work. Imagine you are walking down a commercial street and suddenly recall that you've been here before. Then you remember a time when your friend took you to a Sichuan restaurant, or you recall a particular dish, stir-fried bullfrog, that is amazing. Before you know it, you are walking toward that restaurant, wanting to taste that dish again. Here's how it unfolds. Walking down the street, you experience facial recognition and a G related to that environment gets activated. This environmental G is linked to an earlier event, and the waves from that G trigger the activation of the event's full memory. This chain of activations eventually leads to the G associated with the stir-fried bullfrog being activated. As the G waves from this memory continue to be projected, they evoke a strong craving for that specific dish, motivating you to walk towards the restaurant. This example shows how G activation works on both a sensory and memory level, creating an intricate web of interconnected G patterns that influence your thoughts and actions. The experience of taste, recognition, and even mood are all shaped by how G waves are projected, received, and remodeled in the brain. In the next chapter, we'll explore how G patterns accumulate over time and how the brain processes complex sensory information. Stay tuned for more insights into the fascinating world of G and its role in shaping your perception of the world. So that's all today. See you next time. Bye bye.